So I guess, everyone wants to hear about your meat chase, the old 405 press. Finally nailed it.
Yep, I got the 405. So heading into it, kind of made a decision. Nick Delgadillo and another starting strength coach named Josh Wells. We had it was kind of like a squat developing camp a week before the meet, and we went out to go eat. And I told them my plans for the meet, and they're like, "Man, I don't know the idea." So I was like, "Well, what should I do?" Nick kind of came up with the helpful idea of just doing one attempt on the squat, which I thought it was very useful because I usually get really fatigued. And then kind of just pulling what I can pull. And my attempts for the press would be like so. So I'm hitting a relatively heavy opener, but then leaving 2 attempts for 405, which I did. So I ended up squatting 640 for my first attempt and only attempt. Waited, a lot longer than what everyone else was. Ate, kind of watched everyone else, helped coach them as well. And then for the press, I opened with 3 that. I'm glad I went with that route because I failed my first attempt at 405. I'm kind of weird whenever it comes to pressing. Like I have to have the weight in my hands, and I never have taken out 405 in training or anything like that. The closest has been 400, and I got about forehead height, and it fell. Like it just would not, and I actually lost control of it and actually fell in my hands. And then on the second attempt, I told Josh, the coach who was also there with me and helping out, to cue me about my femurs because I kind of thought of this cue in we first attempt, and I just didn't really throw my hips forward. So I was like, man, hips doesn't work with me. Belly button, all that shit doesn't work for me. You got to like almost cue my knees to. And then he yelled out femurs, which that really helped. But if you see in the video, I kind of did like the Alexiev press where my knees kind of come to unlock. And I was like, oh, fuck, I really don't care if damn. So after I attempted it and succeeded, I come over to Rip and he's like, that didn't count, right? I'm like, yeah, I'm sure because of my knees. He's like, no, the bar went down, which it does that for me whenever it's heavy. I'll initially start the press and then it comes down. I'll lay back, recover, and then I'll drive through. But I thought it was more of my knees because I kind of felt them slip, and sometimes they unlock as I hit the bounce. But you can kind of see in the video, which we'll kind of get to it, there was really no aid from my knees. They just unlocked. So there's no really push press coming from them.
Mm-hmm. Actually, we'll chuck the video on now so people can have a look at it if they didn't, if they haven't seen it. You can talk us through it, Chase. I'll try and keep a bit of volume on. Can you guys see that?
Yeah, what was crazy is like walking my heart, grab the bar, like I take a few deep breaths, and then it felt like no one was in the room. Like as soon as I looked up, there was no one in the room. Landed my hips forward, and I felt it stall, and I was like, oh, fuck. But I kind of heard everyone yell again, and that just brought me out of my trance. Just started pressing, and then went weird, all crazy afterwards.
Yeah, you can hear the guy yell femurs right at the start.
Yeah, that was Josh.
Yeah.
Oh no, it's beavers now apparently.
Yeah, someone on the live stream captioned the meat and they put beavers instead of femurs.
Yeah, I think somebody on the
yeah, you see where it kind of stalled right there? That's where it dropped, and that's why it should not have counted, but they counted it.
They counted it.
Except for Bree.
Yeah, except for Bree. Bree's actually the one who gave me the red light.
Well, I guess technically she's right, but yeah, man. Anyway, it's still obviously you must have felt pretty good about that. That's been a big sort of. I mean, how long has that been on your mind for hitting 405?
Fuck, man, years.
Yeah, yep. There's a couple of kind of funny comments I saw on the Instagram feed. One of them was, "This is impressive. It would be better video without the female screams."
What's wrong with female screams?
I think they might have been actual orgasms. That's
No.
that's my. Someone else.
It
Left
was impressive.
what's that?
Said it was impressive.
But not that impressive. Someone else said impressive bench press without a bench.
Yeah, it's typical shit.
Typical shit people normally leave.
He gets that one.
Yeah. Someone else, some personal trainer, kind of came in and said, "Oh, isn't that bad for your spine or something like that?" So anyway, it's usual kind of stuff. Pastor Gaines left a comment. Anyone else pressing over 400 at that body weight?
Yeah, so I weighed out at 110.3. So I was legitly at like 240. And I think the closest body weight was like Larry Wills at like 265. And I pressed 405. And a few other people at 260 or in that range that's pressed 405. But I don't think right now there is.
Well, Rip said it had been 50 years since that body weight.
No, that's one. What was Rip's reaction at the end? It was just like, that didn't really count. Was that his actual reaction?
Yeah, I think he was he didn't want to like show, I guess, if he was proud or whatever, because he's typical Rip stuff. But he told that fact. He didn't say this, but it has since basically the people back in New York, whenever everyone was pressing back in the 60s, someone at my body weight has done that. So he was like, "Don't get a big head." I'm like, "I'm not, man." It was kind of shitty, and I wish I kind of cleaned it up a little bit to make it a little bit easier. But whatever.
Yeah, I'm sure he's proud deep down inside.